Hey, good morning, 60. How are you today? Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. Hey, so today I'm going to talk about dead people. Um, and the great thing about being dead is people tend to remember you more kindly than you deserve. And I hope I get the same benefit of the doubt someday, you know? Um, Take two iconic people from my generation. Okay, probably the two most iconic people. Muhammad Ali and John Lennon. Deplorable human beings. Absolutely horrible, horrible people. With who had good causes, who had good messages. Horrible human beings. So again, that's the thing, who you are or what you are. They're not always the same. In fact, they're probably never the same. Um, so, what I want to talk about was I want to talk about dead people, and we'll get to that in a minute. When I was in fifth grade, we were living on Hillsdale. It was just my mom and me and David's next, then Kelly, and then a little guy pops up, Chris. And we're not sure where he came from. And my mother's seeing a black guy who's really, really decent to us. And then sometimes, he's just a great guy. And he comes by the house quite often. And he's my mother's friend. And anyway, so what happens is this. So the three of us, we sleep in a room that is about 8 by 8. It's got a full-size bed in it, and all three boys sleep in that bed together. And Chris sleeps in a bassinet out in the main living room. So it's 2 bedrooms and a living room. Here's the craziest thing in the world. Right now, I've bought a garage. Me and my son Neil bought a garage in Manchester, and we're turning it into a high-end efficiency apartment. No shit, life comes full circle, right? But our rent was $25 a month. That was our rent there. This place will be well over $150,000 when it's done. So anyway, here's the dealio. So I come home from school one day. Remember, it's my mom and the 4 boys and the killer cat. And I open the door, and there's a girl, a teenage girl, maybe 13, maybe 14 at the most, sitting at our kitchen table eating cereal. And I'm stunned. And I'm like, who are you? And she's, more importantly, why are you eating our cereal? And she's sitting at the table, and she's got a spoon in her hand, and she's got one knee up and 1 foot down like only a teenager girl can sit. So she's sitting on 1 foot, folded under her, and she takes her spoon and she goes, "I'm your sister." And that's the face she made. "I'm your sister." And I was like, "Mom! Oh my God, who's this crazy person in our house?" My mother comes running out. "Oh, bro, I'm sorry." My mother was at the bar. Truth is true, right? My mother was at the bar. And my sister was babysitting us. And that's how I met my teenage sister. And it turns out that I had 4 older sisters from a previous marriage that I knew nothing about. My mother was married to a man named Jack Garrido, and I had 4 older sisters. Jackie, Phyllis, Sherry, and Elizabeth. Right there. I had 4 sisters that I knew nothing about and had never met. Sherry was the only one I had met. And so, and Sherry has, from that day, been like my best friend, the person I care the most about. And she has, for various reasons, been in and out of my life ever since the day I met her. She's been in and out of my life ever since the day I met her. And I never know when she's going to be in my life, and I never know when she's going to be out of my life. Her and my mother fought non-stop. And I joined the struggle. I joined the revolution. So anyway, let's move forward now to dead people. Years go by, and my mother and her grandmother, my mother and her mother, who would be my grandmother, had a horrible relationship, and I'll get to that story. And when I tell you that story, you will go, "Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me?" But we'll get to that story at another time. So anyway, my grandmother passes away, and she was a horrible human being, as bad as Ali, worse than John Lennon. And so anyway, it's her funeral, and we hate our grandmother. We really don't want to go, but my sister and I were in our late 20s. I'm in my late 20s. She's in her early 30s, and I'll have to tell you, she's a stunning woman. She's tall and skinny like me, and she's beautiful and personable, and it's always the most beautiful room and most beautiful woman in any room she walks into. She's always been that girl. Like, people are just like, oh, she's beautiful, till they get to know her. So sorry, Sherry, I had to do that. So anyway, we're at my grandmother's funeral, okay, and my mother's sitting up front, and she's just sobbing, and snot's coming down. And me and Sherry don't get it at all because we know this woman did her horribly, and we're glad to see that she's passed. And in fact, not only are we glad, I think half of the town of Clearfield is, because this funeral was packed. And it's as if the whole town's come out to say, thank God and good riddance to this old horrible bitch. Thank God she's dead. So Sherry and I are standing at the back of the funeral home. I have a suit and tie on and stunningly handsome man. And my sister is dressed like she's going on a date. She's got like heels on, like a really hot dress and earrings and makeup done. And I'm like, what are you, fucking the funeral director? What's going on? You look great. What are you doing here? She's like, oh, you asshole. And so anyway, we're like, well, we have to go up and see the body, right? And we're like, oh man, we got to. And she's like, yeah, we got to. You know, we got to do this for Mom. We got to go up and pay our respect. And my mother's sitting in the front row, right? Okay, so now we walk down the center aisle, you know, arm in arm, and you know, they're playing the horrible funeral music, you know, and I want you to play something by Wham when I die. Okay, let's have fun. Make it a party. Wake me up before you go, girl. So anyway, we are 5 feet. I'm sorry, make it 3 feet from the casket. And the casket's sitting up on these funeral legs, on these like spindly legs. So we're 3 feet from the casket. My she's tall and skinny, and she has on heels that are this big. And she stumbles and boom, and is head first into the casket. Yeah, that's right. She's right in there with Ruth Olsen. That's who your grandmother was. And Grandma goes like this. Now her head's like this, and her fucking wig comes off. Now Grandma has on a wig, and she has a wig and horn rim glasses on. Now listen, if I die, don't bury me with glasses on, even if I need them. And I'm sure that where Grandma ended up going, she didn't need glasses. I'm sure there's no library, okay, in hell. But anyway, so here's what happened. So Grandma's like this, right? And my sister goes, now from behind, that looks as if she's fallen apart, as if the death is too much for her to endure. And while I'm digging my fingernails into the side of her arm as hard as I can squeeze her, and leaning over and saying, you better stop laughing, you crazy fucking bitch. It looks like I'm being supportive from behind. Up front, we're looking at a little old lady like this with her fucking wig off and her glasses like this. And Sherry says, well, we gotta fix her. And I'm like, what? She's like, we gotta fix her. I'm like, I'm not touching her. And she's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Jim, she's dead. I said, oh, okay, well, I'll do what I can. So I lean over as if I'm going to kiss her, and I grab her head, and I go, and straighten her head up. Now she's got big fucking fingerprints on her face. Nice, right? Which sends my sister into a fit of laughter that's indescribable, right? And then my sister leans over and gives her a kiss on the nose and like strings at her wig and goes, there you go, Ruth. And so by now she has laughed so hard that she is crying, that there are tears running down her face. And then we make a hard right and we go out the outside door and we're in the alley laughing like hyenas. It was crazy. Probably the wildest funeral I'd ever seen in my life, right? So that's the good thing, right? Okay, I hope I'm remembered more kindly than Ruth Olsen was, and I hope if you have a laugh at my funeral, that it's in good spirits, okay, and no glasses, all right. Okay, peace, be 60, all right.